Recording in progress.
Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. All right. So today I'm going to do something brief. My mind is not as focused as it needs to be, but I'm going to do something and just share some of my study. I've been studying on Hosea 1, just looking at it briefly. So I'm going to share what I'm dealing with. Abiyah, thank you for the Shabbat. Thank you for this opportunity to share. May your will be done on earth as it is in the Shamayim, the heaven. I thank you for this time and this opportunity. May I edify and not diminish your word. Yada Yahuwah. Okay. So I'm gonna go straight to Hosea 1. And I'm gonna do a little word study in there. So I'm gonna be sharing my screen on the word, but then also sharing some of the definitions. So let's get at it. Let's get at it. Let's see here. Ba, ba, ba. Sharing the screen and going to Hosea 1. So Hosea 1. It says the word of Yahuwah that came to Hosea, son of Beri, in the days of Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah, sovereigns of Yahudah. So these were all kings, rulers, or I guess you could say, of Yahudah. And in the days of Jeroboam, son of Joash, sovereign of Israel. So these names are interesting. You have the sovereigns of Yahudah. Their names to me, from when I'm looking, I'm gonna first let's first go let's go over here and look at Hosea. Hosea means salvation. So Hosea is almost like Yahusha, but it means salvation, and I'm getting that from the Briggs definition. Let me see. I can move up and show you. Let me see. The Hebrew Strong's is 1954, but I'm not gonna do that with everyone. But I just want to show you that I'm where I'm coming from. Going back over here. So you got Hosea. The next term you got is Uzziah. Uzziah means my strength is Yahuwah. This is very descriptive of this king of Yahudah. My strength is Yahuwah. That rule or that reign that he had, he depended upon Yahuwah. The next name is Yatham. Yatham is Yahuwah is perfect. So you've seen, basically the kings of Yahudah, you've seen a positive, going forth towards Yahuwah. The next one, Ahaz. Ahaz is an interesting character. So not exactly as positive, but he has grasped is what Ahaz means. So you see it's kind of shifting and changing a little bit from the positives that was going forth. And then you go to Hezekiah, yeah, or I think this is supposed to be one we call Hezekiah. And that one says that Yahuwah has made strong. You know anything about the life of Hezekiah? The man was on his deathbed sick, and the prophet Yeshayahu or Isaiah had said, "You're surely going to die." So he was pronounced with death, and he prayed. He turned his face to the wall and prayed, and his life was extended. The death sentence that he was given was basically given a reprieve, and he was able to live more years, and eventually he made a mistake of letting the Babylonians come in and see all his wealth and everything, and it came against him that in the future Israel would or Yahuda would become bondsmen to the Chaldeans. Okay, so now let's look at the sovereign of Israel. All right, you got Jeroboam. The people will contend. So that's going to be some strife going on, some issues. That's not a positive. That's not a good thing. Let's go to Joash. Given by Yahuwah. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and just read this out because my focus, I just was, just looking at the names and where they're pointed to. This is a great testimony, just this Hosea 1 in general. If you know the story of Hosea, I ain't gonna go into the detail of that, but you should read the whole Hosea. But this first part points to the whole situation of us being given away and then brought back. But let's go. The word of Yahuwah that came to Hosea, son of Beri, in the days of Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Jezekiah, sovereigns of Yehuda, in the days of Jeroboam, son of Joash, sovereign of Israel, the beginning of the word of Yahuwah with Hosea. And Yahuwah said to Hosea, "Go, take yourself a woman of whoring." What's that? A prostitute. And children of whoring, for the land has utterly whored away from Yahuwah. So where are we at right now? What state are we in now? We're in a state of being dispersed all through the earth because our ancestors and us are not walking in covenant together, not walking in the instructions and the Torah of Yahuwah. Many of us are turning back or awakening and getting it straight, but as a people, as a total nation, one whole nation, there's a lot of whoring going on. So he went and took Gomer, daughter of Diblaim, and she conceived and bore him a son. And Yahuwah said to him, "Call his name Yisrael." Not much different than Israel, but it is different. For in a little while I shall revenge the bloodshed of Yisrael on the house of Jehu and put an end to the reign of the house of Yisrael. So let's go up. I got the definition, let me see, of Yisrael. It's Jezreel here. It says Yahuwah sows. That seed, that young man was what Yahuwah was sowing. But let's keep going. 5. And it shall be in that day that I shall break the bow of Israel in the valley of Yisrael. And she conceived again and bore a daughter. And he said to him, "Call her name Lo Ruhamah, For no longer do I have compassion on the house of Israel so as to forgive them at all. Now, see, this is not a finality here, but it's important. He was getting fed up with the people of Israel. So let's look up Lo Ramah. Let's see, Lo Ramah. No mercy is what Lo Ruhamah means. Yah was done with mercy towards Israel for a period of time, and towards Yahudah for a period of time. Lo Ruhamah. This child that he had Hosea to have was to be appointed, like, I'm done with y'all. But again, he wasn't done, but he was getting fed up with us as a nation of people. All right. I'm gonna read it again. And she conceived again and bore a daughter. And he said to him, call her name Lo Ruhamah, for no longer do I have compassion. So he had no mercy on the house of Israel, so as to forgive them as at all. But here it goes. I shall have compassion on the house of Yahudah and save them by Yahuwah their Elohim, and not save them by bow or by sword or by battle, by horses or by horsemen. Like, I'm going to do it. It ain't going to be by their own strength, but I'm going to do it. And she weaned Lo Ruhamah and conceived and bore a son. And then he said, call his name Lo Ami, for you are not my people, and I am not for you. In Hebrew, Lo means not. Lo Ami. Let's go over here to Lo Ami. Let me see, Lo Ami right here. Lo Ami means not my people. Names mean so much in Israel. They're significant. You shouldn't take on a Hebrew name that does not really reflect your character and your integrity, your reputation. It might sound good or whatever, but you shouldn't just take on any Hebrew name. These names, they meant something. As you see with those kings earlier, the first ones had names that were giving honor towards Yah. And then as it goes further with the Israelite names, they were kind of, resistance toward Yah. The character of the name reflected in the people. But Lo Ami, not my people. Yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea. So, like the baby kids, we don't die, we multiply. Through abortion, through all these different things, homosexual, all these different things that they put forth to limit us from being fruitful and multiplying, we still shall be as the sand of the sea, which is not measured nor counted, and it shall be in the place where it was said to them, you are not my people. They shall be called, you are the sons of the living El. So the same place that he's rejecting us, or he's chastening us, or he's allowing us to not be recognized as people, they're going to also recognize us as sons of the living El. We're not going to be living like we sons of the living El. We're going to be living like people that's been forsaken. But one thing, though, he has not forsaken us. He is allowing for us a period to recognize that we need him, that we may call him and call out to him and let him know we need him. He's pulling away from us so that we see that we ain't got this on our own. We can't stand alone. Never been able to stand alone. Our own devices come into play too often when we stand alone, and we end up left instead of right. All right. And the children of Yahudah and the children of Israel shall be gathered together and appoint for themselves one head, and shall come up out of the earth, for great is the day of Yisrael. So we're going to come back to clarity, and we're going to have one head. We're going to have the second Adam over us. But I just wanted to, basic focus on the word study. This is something brief because my mind ain't as clear as it needs to be. But hopefully you see how I study with the names. You see how the Hebrew actually gives more emphasis on stuff. When you're just reading the names, it just seems like hard terms just to read. But when you read them in Hebrew, you see that Yah is actually giving forth a message and letting you know where he's involved with the situation. If the people are favored, the name is showing some favor. When it's basically saying, no mercy towards you, the names are saying that. You need to look into it deeper than just reading it, because a lot of those terms just sound like mumbo jumbo to somebody here raised in this American land. But these names have meanings. We come from the tribe, that comes through Shem. Shem means the name. Name in English means just, like my name is Shanquilla. But the name, and when you're dealing with Hebraic mindset, is dealing with the reputation, the character. When you carry someone's name, basically you representing them. My household, I call this the Carter household. My children, I want them to represent. When people see one of them, I want them to know that, they were raised by me, and let that be reflected. If they doing something, contrary, to my character, I'm like that's not representing of the Carter name. I want somebody to, hold them accountable and say, hey, your dad wouldn't approve of that. When you're operating in Yah's name, you shouldn't be doing stuff that he wouldn't approve of. And those that are connected to you, that know that you operate in his name, should hold you accountable and be able to say something to you without you wanting to knuckle up. Yeah, you might take offense for the moment, but you should be more in tune to try to correct that, because it reflects back on Yah and not just you, because you are his representative. You are supposed to be his image in the earth. And if you are supposed to be his image in the earth, you should walk according to his will and purposes and not your own. So you need to get that in order. Abiyah, thank you for this opportunity. May this be edifying to some. I accept the questions and the talk and the dialogue about this message. It was brief, but I thank you for allowing me to even share it. Yada Yahuwah, Shabbat Shalom, Shankur Yah, One Vision Ministry. Yada Yahuwah.